Everybody's different.
We come from different places. And we all want different things. I want to grow my career.
I want to make a difference.
I want my research to have an impact. But we all have one thing in common.
We want to be somewhere we can fulfill our ambition. Not just a graduate business school, but a global community full of people who want to go further.
Push harder. Achieve more.
Do things differently.
With the faculty producing cutting-edge research that's making a difference.
Changing how we think.
A community that's making its mark on Ireland and the world.
At Ireland's highly ranked and triple accredited business school, offering internationally recognised MBA and business masters programmes. Distinctively located in Dublin, one of the friendliest, most exciting cities in the world, and home to the world's leading companies. A local campus with a global network of alumni, where students connect with industry leaders and each other.
Where faculty address the biggest problems of today, creating real solutions for the real world. We'll all end up with different careers.
In different places.
Making an impact in business and society.
We're all different.
But we'll always have one thing in common.
UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School. Creating a better future.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this live webinar in partnership with UCD, University College Dublin. I'm Laura from UCD, and it's my pleasure today to moderate this webinar. And as you noticed, we started with a short video to give you a flavor of the university. Hope you enjoyed it. And I see now that more participants are joining us. So again, hello everyone, and thanks for participating to this live webinar in partnership with University College Dublin. I am Laura from UCD, and I'm very happy to be here today. And I would like to thank with the speakers and former students from UCD will tell us about the school's master's programs. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box and we will take them in the last part of our event. And also, after the event, everyone will receive an email with a link to the registration and the recording of the event, so you can watch it in case you miss some parts. I now leave the floor to Christine Higgins, MBA Admission Manager. Welcome, Christine, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks. I'm just going to share my slides here. So welcome everyone to Why a UCD Smurfit MBA webinar. And my name is Christine Higgins. I'm the MBA Admissions Manager. There's my email address. My role is to assist you in the admission process when you're applying for the MBA program. So today I'm going to give you an overview of the Smurfit MBA program, and we're going to move over to Yola Maher, who's going to talk about moving to Dublin. We'll also have an MBA student panel discussion with Paul Cunningham, Afora Mida and Arti Mofa, moderated by Catherine Del Celso, and then it'll move on to how to apply. I'll give you a brief information about that, and then we'll have a live Q&A session. So why a Smurfit MBA? Well, for anyone that may not be familiar with UCD is now among the top 100 of universities in the world and is Ireland's global university with over 30,000 students and is still growing. A key question you should ask before you join us is, how does the school and particularly the programme rank in the global environment? Well, the answer to both of these questions is very highly. To give you some context about the UCD Business School itself, we are one of the longest established business schools in Europe. In the context of the MBA, we were one of the earliest European innovators, launching our executive MBA programme in 1964, one of the first in Europe. In 1991, we had our first full-time MBAs graduating, and the same year we relocated to Blackrock, an attractive suburb in Dublin, and UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School was born. In 2000, the school became Ireland's first world-ranked school in the Financial Times and joined the SEMS network. And we are still the only school in Ireland to be part of the SEMS network, a global alliance of academic corporate institutions and NGOs jointly delivering business education. We were the first school in Ireland to receive a Triple Crown accredited from the awarded bodies in the US, the UK and Europe. In 2002, to put that into context, there are only 112 Triple Crown schools globally out of over 11,000 to 15,000 business schools. So we are in an elite group globally. In 2012, the school was invited to be a founding member of the GNAM, the Global Network of Advanced Management, a partnership of international business schools initiated by Yale School of Management. From a program point of view, our flagship MBA program is consistently ranked by the Financial Times and The Economist in the top 100 business schools globally. As one of the oldest MBA programs in Europe, we have a track record and reputation for delivering an outstanding program. Your Smurfit MBA is a globally recognized qualification with a significant reputation. Our history also means we have by far the largest MBA global alumni base, with an attractive and supportive network of over 4,000 MBA alumni and 90,000 business alumni worldwide. An element of the program that you will benefit from is our alumni mentoring program, which is part of the careers planning activity. There are three core features of our MBA that makes it unique in both a domestic and international context: academic excellence, challenging experiences, and action learning, all to help you be the next generation of global business leaders. Our curriculum provides an in-depth and wide-ranging coverage of all the major business disciplines, as you can see on the left-hand side of the slide. Our curriculum is updated on a regular basis to include emerging disciplines such as digital transformation and data analytics. Our curriculum also includes core execution skills such as negotiations. We also offer specialized electives in holistic academic digital marketing, and career execution and decision-making strategy and holistic academic experience. What makes our curriculum unique is the bench strength of our faculty and both academic thought leaders and leading practitioners. Engaging what also distinguishes our curriculum is our emphasis on action learning. We seek to engage you with innovative and varied teaching methodologies. In many of our classes, we follow the Harvard case method. The case method immerses you in the role of chief decision maker as you navigate the challenges facing leading companies across the globe. Repeatedly, you'll be asked to diagnose a situation, consider alternative course of actions for addressing business opportunities and challenges, and defending your choices among your peers. This method teaches you to chart a course through a fog of uncertainty, and in the process, sharpen both your analytical decision-making and advocacy skills. Defining feature of our MBA is its global focus and preparing you to succeed in the global business environment. This is facilitated through a series of tangible experiences, including the GNAM Network Immersion Week. Alongside participants from our leading business schools within the GNAM Network, the Immersion Week gives you the opportunity to take a week out of your hectic schedule to study a topic in depth, benefiting from both academic and practitioner insights. Most of all, participating in this week allows you to develop an international network and significantly broaden your perspective. We also doing business in international markets focuses on the realities of doing business in other countries and aims to heighten participants' appreciation of the cultural, economic, and institutional context of another country. You will participate in workshops, company visits, high-level business meetings, and a variety of networking opportunities. And finally, there's also our International Consultants in Project, a transformational learning experience in which participants will travel to an international destination and work with a local company on a current business challenge or opportunity. The project, which takes place over 4 days, will culminate in a presentation to the client company. So in terms of the MBA and Careers Network, so when you look at the full-time MBA, we offer a structured career development program, a senior MBA alumni career mentors, and employability and intercultural development center. Mock interviews with employers as well. And on the MBA, we have the Executive Career Development Employability Program, which is aligned to your modular calendar and integrated into program, and a flexible and personal career service. You get one-to-one career consultation. You have a chance to review your CV and LinkedIn profile building. And you also have access to alumni panel and networking events. We also schedule employer presentations and office visits, and you also can participate in online training courses and in the LinkedIn group. The latest employment data. So for the full-time MBA class of 2022, within 3 months of graduating, 80% were employed, 73,000 was the average base salary, and 79% of offers were accepted in Ireland. With the MBA Financial Times Rankings 2022, 3 years after graduation, the average base salary was 154,000, and that was a 64% increase in salary. So as you can see, our recent employers, as Dublin is the tech hub of Europe, our recent employers were Meta, Google, Novartis, KPMG, TikTok, Amazon, and so forth. And in terms of the class profile, so who will be sitting in the classroom with you? So for the full-time MBA program, the average GMAT was 680. It's near enough 50-50 with female and male studio ratio. 80% were international participants, and the average year's work experience was 7. The average executive assessment score was 150, and the average student age is 30. According to the careers, 90% were employed after 3 months, 132% average increase in salary, and 66% changed career. 83% of accepted offers in Ireland. It is a fully immersed learning experience, and a lot of our applications, candidates would like to use the MBA program to change or redefine their career. And I'm going to hand you over to Yola Maher now.
Thank you so much, Christine. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Yola Maher, and in my role here in the Smurfit School, I look after international students. So those of you who are watching us from outside Ireland and who are thinking of relocating to Dublin, I have just a couple of quick messages for you. If you could move to another slide, Christine, thank you. So just to highlight the supports available here in the school, the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School is part of the University College Dublin, which is a bigger university. There's 37,000 students in the whole university, and we're sitting on a separate campus. So there is support available for the Smurfit School students here on the Blackrock campus, which is the graduate business campus. But we also have UCD staff supporting students in 5 global centres all over the world. So you can reach out to us directly. You can be supported through UCD Global, which is run from the UCD and looks after all international students in UCD. I think there's around 8,000 students who are international studying in the whole University College Dublin. And also who we have here to support students is also a student advisor who would be supporting students throughout their journey, should they come across any difficulties or else just need support. In my role, I look after students from the moment they inquire about the program. So if you have any question, if you haven't even applied and you have any question, you're more than welcome to give me a call, email me. You can email admissions and they can direct the query to me. And the support coming from myself is really around you guys coming to Ireland. So relocating visa, visa immigration, accommodation, cultural kind of adjustment, pretty much everything. So I'm here to help you guys to make sure that your transition is as smooth as possible. Christine, if you could move to another slide. Thank you so much. And the last thing I would like to mention very, very briefly to you is the Stay Back visa. So the formal and official title is a third level graduate program. And it's basically a 2-year program designed by the Irish government for graduates, and all Smurfit School graduates would fall into this category. Graduates who will be able to apply for a working rights in Ireland. So it's not a work permit, like the name of it is working rights. So you'll be entitled to work in Ireland for 2 years, which is 24 months post completion of the program. So that's quite attractive. And what happens in a lot of cases is students move into employment post completion of their MBA, their master's programs, and then they continue staying and they get a different type of visa later on. So again, if you would like to know more about this, you can Google it. You can just Google Stamp 1G, which is another name for it, Stamp 1G, G is for graduate, UCD, and you'll be able to find loads of information on the UCD's website about the Stamp 1G / a Stay Back visa. So again, if there's any questions, we can have a chat. You can ask them in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer them later. So thank you so much. I'm back over to you, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yola. I'm going to pass over to Catherine now for our MBA student panel discussion.
Thank you, Christine. It's really nice to see everybody here. I hope that you are getting some good information. My name is Catherine Del Sesto, and I am the MBA program manager, the full-time MBA program manager here at UCD Smurfit. That means I'm responsible for the day-to-day administration of the full-time MBA. So I deal with the paperwork, basically. And I am really thrilled to have 3 students from our current full-time MBA class here to speak with you, Paul Cunningham, Apurva Midha, and Arti Motha. I have 4 questions, and we're actually running a little bit ahead of time, so we have time to get a really good discussion. So just to get things rolling, I am going to start with Arti, because your mic is on already, and ask you, how did you decide to do an MBA?
So my decision to do an MBA came when I realized in a very odd way that I had already unofficially done one, and I needed to do it officially. I had worked in Silicon Valley. I'm from California. I've been working as a executive coach, helping basically Silicon Valley executives who did not speak English as their primary first language to navigate American business culture. So that was editing their memos, helping them with reports, helping them sometimes draft policies or emails or slide decks, et cetera. So it's basically editing a lot of mid-level tech executives. One of them started to do an executive MBA, and he asked me to help him with the language of it. So I was reading a lot of his case studies with him. I would be proofreading his reports before he submitted them. Sometimes when he would have group interactions and something had gone particularly well or particularly poorly, I would help him sort of with some of the interpersonal communications among the group members. And then that all finished. It took about 2 years. I was working with him about once a week, and he got a nice promotion, and he moved on and had some great things happen in his career. And I realized I was still an English tutor. And it took a while, actually, but then it finally clicked. You know, actually, I could probably do that. I think I already kind of did that. It took an embarrassingly long time for me to realize, oh, that's something I could do. But it also showed me what an MBA was, because I'd had a very fuzzy and incorrect sense of it. I really thought that an MBA was 2 years of using Microsoft Excel and going to cocktail parties. And neither of those things appealed to me at all. And in fact, it's a much richer, much more varied experience than that. So once I had a sense of what a top level MBA was, that's when I started looking for one for myself. So it took me a little while to get there, and I think I took an unusual path. But once I saw the kind of education that was available in these programs, I realized that having that for myself officially would really help me, you know, recharacterize the way I saw myself in the professional world.
Thank you very much. Apurva, how did you decide to do an MBA?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the question, Catherine. I was actually managing a creative team. I come from a design background. I was working as a brand manager. And, I was managing a bunch of graphic designers, editors, copywriters. That's what I was doing. So not your conventional MBA background, what you would think. As brand manager, I was, team lead in creative. I was working with a lot of different departments. So, there's a lot of interaction with marketing, with supply chain, with product team. And as I got more involved in a little bit more strategic decisions for the brand, I suppose that's where I realized that there are some gaps in my qualification if I want to move up in a more leadership position. So that's where, the idea of MBA came in. And then, of course, I spent a lot of time in research because, it's not an easy decision, for you to leave your job and invest your time and money in doing an MBA. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good decision for me.
Great.
And here I am.
Thank you. And Paul, how did you come to the MBA?
Thanks, Catherine. Hi, everyone. So my background is in physiotherapy. So I've been working full time for the past 8 years. And I sort of came to a crossroads where I wanted to pursue something else. So I wanted to pivot. So I did my research, and really the MBA seemed to fit the criteria I was looking for, which was to give me that global business perspective, touching all those bases in the business world, like covering all those different topics and subjects. And then with the Smurfit School, it's a really strong brand in Ireland. It's probably viewed as the preeminent brand business school in the country. So it was a really attractive proposition, and it just seemed to fit where I wanted to go. I wanted to move up a little bit more, going into looking at management roles, more senior positions. So yeah, it just seemed like a good match for what I was looking for.
Thank you. No, sorry. My computer is popping out pop-up messages at me. Thank you very much for that, Paul. That's a wonderful segue into the next question. Apurva, I'm curious, how did you decide to come to Ireland and do your MBA at Smurfit?
Well, honestly, it was a long research. I started with, I knew I wanted to go outside India, just for attendees here. I'm from India. And so started with, English-speaking countries and places which have best industry exposure, best international programs. So those were some of the things that I was looking at. Why Ireland? Number one was the industry. If you look at the professional landscape or the industrial landscape of Ireland, you have practically every big company present here. Of course, there is more prominence and there is more talk about the technology sector, but it's not just the technology sector. You have the largest consultancy firms, financial firms. So it's a very comprehensive, good industry, and it's a growing industry. So there is, my thought was in terms of job prospect, what will be a good place to go to. So in that sense, Ireland came up as a very attractive market. And then, of course, when I started looking at MBA programs, the focus was again on good international focus, like, within the program, like what kind of global business opportunities are you getting, understanding business on a global perspective. So Smurfit program came up with, like, I would say, flying colors on those aspects. So yeah, that's how I decided.
Great, thank you. And Artie, what brought you over to Ireland from California? You're on mute. I can see that you're talking, but you're muted still.
There, how's that?
Perfect.
Yeah, sorry. I actually, the last answer, I heard the words come out of my mouth. I'm from California. Anyone who's American listening to this will know that's not true. If you hear me talk, I'm from Philadelphia, but I had been in California for 10 years. I really wanted an international experience. Having been in California for about 10 years, I knew that I wanted to get out of California for a while and get a bit of a broader perspective. California can be a little insulated within the US. So I wanted an international experience. And many of the schools that I've been looking at were talking about, well, we have 10% international students, or we have a 15% international students. And it sort of clicked with me. If I went abroad, then the school would be almost definitionally 99% international students. Everybody's an international student if you're the foreigner. So I thought that that was a really interesting way of breaking myself out of a bubble and getting a different perspective. So I've always loved Ireland. I had lived in Ireland previously as a much younger man, and I was looking forward to coming back. It's a beautiful country with lovely people in it. And the other part of it was that this, in my country, in America, an MBA tends to be a 2-year or a 30-month deal. Here, it's a 1 year. It's a very intense 1 year, but then I could finish it. That's not the case in many other countries, but it is the case in Ireland. So that also appealed to me in terms of opportunity cost and timing.
Yeah. And we'll stick with you for a minute for the next one. How is the program meeting what you expected? I know you said it's not all Excel spreadsheets and cocktail parties, but can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
I haven't been to one cocktail party, so it's good that I already knew that wouldn't be the case. Because I don't think I've been to one. Maybe no, there weren't cocktails there. No. So it is very rigorous. It has definitely met and exceeded my expectations there. Just because it is a 1-year program, it doesn't mean that you're getting half an MBA. I believe, and in my consultations with people who have done sort of the traditional American MBA, I'm getting the whole thing. It's just I'm getting it in 12 months instead of 24. The student body is astonishingly diverse. We've got people from, trying to think of one of you. Yeah, we've got people from every continent other than Antarctica. Oh no, we don't have Australia. Australia, I always forget that one. But still, it's a very diverse student body. We've got a lot of different voices, a lot of different perspectives, and really great profiles. I mean, I think you just heard it from the panel. You know, we are not all people who majored in business in our undergraduate or majored in economics in our undergraduate and are now just taking the next step. You've got people who come from design backgrounds, from literary backgrounds, from medical backgrounds. So you've got a nice range of people, and multiply that by the 34 people in the program, and you just get a really good sense of how big the world is and how many different ways there are to play a part in the economics and business of society.
Thank you very much. And Paul, how are you finding what you were getting compared to what you expected?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the experience. Like Artie said, it's definitely a full-on experience, but it's so rich with knowledge, a variety of subjects. And there's a really strong sense of peer-to-peer learning with that emphasis on group work. So you're exposed to those different cultures, how different people work. And that's something I've really taken from it so far. So yeah, that diversity really adds to the learning experience as well.
Great, thank you. And Purwa, how is the program meeting your expectations?
It's quite intense. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to learn. I feel like in a program like this, it's a lot in terms of what we are being offered. I would say we have a really wide range of subjects, of resources, of, anything that you can think of. And if there's something missing, you can ask for it. It's really about what you make out of that course. Like, I feel like in terms of resources, we have plenty. For me, I came with sort of a mindset that I'll try to unlearn what I know and look at business from a fresh perspective. So foundational courses on finance or economics or, all different aspects of business have been actually very useful in that aspect. And then with the kind of specializations or rather elective subjects that we have, it's easier to then build on that foundation and match it with what kind of career you want. So it's great to have like all those options. So in that sense, I mean, I'm quite happy with the course.
Thank you. And can we stick with you for a minute? You're the only student on our panel who had not lived in Dublin before, as I understand it. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience moving?
Yeah, well, so I did speak to a lot of people, alumni, and a couple of people I knew personally who've been living in Ireland just to get a sense of place and culture and a lot of those things. Everything that I heard was quite positive, and I was happy when I arrived here that, they were right. It's a very friendly country, so it's not tough to navigate a lot of things. Like if you want something, it's easy to like, just get information and like get help from people. For me, it was, I would say, relatively easier, the transition, because I decided to stay on campus. So that, that really eliminates a lot of process or time and energy required for you to actually maybe look for a house which is close to campus within your budgets and a lot of things. Although there is a lot of support available for that as well. But like for me, it was relatively easier because I decided to stay on campus. It's a very smooth transition in that sense.
I'm very glad to hear that. Artie, you did not decide to stay on campus. Can you tell us a little bit? I know you had lived here before, but I can imagine that the city had changed a little bit from when you were here earlier and when you came back. Can you tell us a little bit about how you found the reentry?
Sure, yeah. When I lived here before, I lived in Blanchardstown, a suburb north of Dublin, and I paid £300 per month in rent. Among the other things that have changed, they don't even use that money anymore. So I would recommend, if possible, that living on campus. I think that on-campus housing, if it is right for you, is probably the best decision because it is close, because it is accessible, because it is affordable, and because you can sort out that issue early. It really wasn't an option for me. I am a married student. My wife would be coming with me, and that was, my wife and I were not going to live in a dormitory for a year. We found housing through a college friend of mine. It really comes down to networking, and I guess since not everyone is going to have a college friend who happens to live in Dublin, I would simply say that starting early and using all of the resources that are available to you as quickly as possible. So I found private apartment in South Dublin, a lovely place. We feel very lucky to have it. But I would say that my two biggest pieces of advice are, number one, consider public transit when you're looking at where to live. A place that looks nice but is inconvenient is no help to you. You want to be able to get to school quickly. Smurfit itself is located on a lot of good transit lines. There's rail, there's buses, so try and prioritize ease of access to the campus would be number one. And number two, if you can stay on campus, I do think for most people that would simplify the decision. And the people who live on campus seem to have an easier time of it because they're always around. It's easy for them to get places. And I think in a year that's as intense as you're going to have at Smurfit, it's just one decision out of the way that can be resolved quickly.
Thank you very much. Paul, I won't ask you about moving to Dublin because you were already here, but can you tell us what advice you would have for students who are coming to Dublin?
Yeah, for sure. So, Dublin, it's nice in that it's not too big. There's plenty around the campus, like on the main campus. There's great access to the likes of gym facilities. There's an Olympic-sized pool. It's a massive campus, and we're not too far removed from that in Smurfit, and we have access to all those facilities. There's alternative libraries and things like that. In the city itself, again, it's nice. It's a nice size. You can nearly walk everywhere in the city centre, which is great. So it's not too difficult to get around. But I would echo what Artie was saying in terms of your ability to get to college if you're not living on campus, because some students have found nice accommodation, but it takes them longer to get here because of the location. So just for convenience purposes, it makes sense to try and be as close to good links as possible. Ireland as a country is probably very small. So there's so many beautiful places to go to, so much to see. We're probably renowned for our outdoors. So going across the country, it can take 2.5 hours. Top to bottom, it takes 4.5, 5 hours. So that gives you a bit of a sense of the size of it. But there's so much to see. While you're here, you'll really get the chance to explore, see the great outdoors. And, it's a nice place for a little getaway at a weekend if you have a quiet weekend.
Okay. Thank you very much. Apurva, do you have any advice for students moving to Dublin? Anything that you have been particularly happy to find since you've been here?
My advice would be, I would say arrive early if it's possible for you, because there are a lot of things you may want to take care of before course starts, because once it starts on a high note. it's very go, go, go mode. So things like getting your IRP, because you might be traveling for GNAM. So, you may need to get your visa sorted. So a lot of these things, and for someone who might not want to live on campus like Arti and you want to find housing, I would say for many reasons, arrive early. That's something I would advise, because I think I felt when I went on a class, a lot of people would have benefited from being here a bit sooner. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. And now that you are all excited about coming to Dublin to study for your MBA, I am going to turn the conversation back over to Christine, who will give you some advice on what your next steps should be.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. So yes, how do you apply? So we have we accept applications on a rolling basis. You can apply online on www.smurfitschool.ie. For your application, you can submit your university degree transcripts. However, if you don't have a university degree, we still look to you at a non-standard admission process. It depends on your work experience to date. So if you have significant work experience, we will still take a look at your application. You must have a minimum 3 years quality professional experience, a competitive GMAT score or executive assessment score. So we take either of these tests on admission. And please note as well, you don't have to have these tests done before you submit your application. You can go through the whole application process, and you would be, if you're successful, you get a conditional offer, and then it'll be the final stage would be submitting your score. 2 completed recommendation forms. The templates are provided on the admission portal. English language requirements, and a completed application form online, and a current CV. Eligible candidates deemed suitable to be considered for the MBA are invited to interview on Skype. And for our scholarships, so to apply for scholarships, we have a number of high-profile scholarships, and this is not the extensive list. There's more online, but there's no separate scholarship application form. Once you put your your application through, you will be asked a question of which scholarship you're interested in, and you just have to tick the box. And then we're going to have our live Q&A. I can see that there's a few questions in the chat, so I will just go through them. Christina, do you offer online courses? We offer online courses like the Masters in Management part-time course. We don't offer the MBA course online, I'm afraid. Another question there, BTech electrical technology students can apply for MBA. Yes, we take candidates from any background, and we like the mix of the different backgrounds because it's a nice mix when we're peer-to-peer learning in classroom. And then anonymous, can I aspire to managing roles with a master's from UCD? 100%. The master's opens up a lot more doors in terms of your management and leadership career aspirations. So another anonymous, are there any particular services to help international students find a place to stay? Yola, you may be able to answer that one there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Let me turn on my video. Hey, hi, how are you? We do have we have a UCD off-campus UCD accommodation support. So for anyone looking for accommodation that is not on campus, the support, I think we call it accommodation search engine. It sits on the UCD accommodation pad.ie. So if you look at that website, UCD accommodation pad.ie, and that's where local landlords would advertise those who are looking for, particularly for students, to rent apartments, houses, or rooms to students as such. I would also be running loads of support sessions from sometime in April. So we will have weekly drop-in sessions where I will be planning to invite current students to share their stories and give their advice to incoming students about finding a place to live. And just to also flag to you, summer is a really busy time. There's a lot of students they're due to commence their studies in Dublin, local students, domestic, and also international students. So it's a really busy time. On top of it, in Ireland, particularly in Dublin, we're going through a little bit of a crisis for accommodation, and I'm quite, I suppose, passionate about making sure that you understand that you can't just arrive and expect to find a place to live within 1 week. And that's, I'm going to refer back to Apura's advice of arriving early. So by early, we probably mean sometimes in July. And I know your program starts end of August, but I would be very strongly advising you to come early, maybe 3, if not 4 weeks earlier, because that means you'd be ahead of all other students who'll be looking for a place to live. So come early, have a lot of patience, and you probably need to book temporary accommodation. So arrive and book something for maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or 2 weeks, and then you'll be able to extend it, and use all the advice that we'll be providing you over the spring and summer months in terms of how to look, and not necessarily where to look, but again, some advice given here earlier was really good, is look at the transport routes. You can live and not necessarily within the walking distance, but make sure that you'll be able to commute to Smurfit by one bus. I would highly recommend to make sure that you do it cleverly. So yeah, I could talk about it for hours. We will have sessions later in the spring and loads of other sort of accommodation advice, webinars, clinics, and there'll be videos released as well. So yeah, so I hope I answered your question, Christine. Back to you.
Thank you, Yola. So I'm just running through the questions. Is it expensive to live in Dublin? To our current students, does anyone want to jump in there, give their honest answer?
I mean, I think that really is it's a very relative question. I had been in San Francisco for 10 years, so I found Dublin to be very, very affordable. But I'm keenly aware that people who are not, it depends on what you're acclimated to. It is city living with city expenses. So I think that there are a lot of resources you can use to find out. Like The Economist has cost of living indexes for many major cities, and would give you a sense of what you're used to and what you might be able to expect. You are going to be on a student budget, and so for students who that has been a bit of an adjustment for me. I do not recommend that you work. Well, certainly you can't work full time. You can work part time during the MBA. But I would advise you not to in your mental planning calculate, oh, well, I'll be working at least 20 hours and I'll be earning at least this much in Dublin. I would try and budget when you're thinking about your time in the full year, that you will mostly be doing this without a full-time job, and maybe without even a part-time job. It is manageable, partly because most of what you're doing in the program is already covered. So, some of the trips that we're taking, I haven't really spent that much on textbooks. The learning materials are mostly supplied. So, and as I think Paul said, you've got access to this gigantic university. It's only about 3 kilometers away, whether that's library facilities or concert halls or student groups, et cetera. So in terms of a lot of sort of the day-to-day living expenses of entertainment or exercise or activities, that's already just covered through the tuition. So that's part of the advice. But I think really do a good look, because a big part of an MBA is financial planning. And so do some planning about what your situation is and what you would need to feel comfortable, and what you would need to set yourself up for success in what's going to be a rigorous year. Thank you, Artie.
So just looking at the questions, we're very active here. Thanks, Emil, for everyone posting the questions. So is it necessary to have an English proficiency to get admitted? Yes, if English is not your first language, yes, it is very important. You can do a TOEFL or an IELTS or a Duolingo test. Information is on the website of the scores that we accept for each of those 3 different tests. Another question, do you accept all backgrounds? Yes, we do. Put in your application so we can have a look at you and give you further information. And then is the GRE an acceptable standardized test to, sorry, the thing keeps jumping, submitting the application. We accept GRE test results as well, and we convert them into the GMAT. Can I work as a lecturer or teacher in Ireland? I don't know. You'll have to do a bit of research on that one. And let me see, sorry, they're all jumping. So here's a question for the students, actually. What criteria do you consider when choosing the MBA? Anyone want to jump in there?
Yeah, so from my point of view, I was looking at what is the best business school to attend, and Smurfit jumped out to me. Like it ranks highly in the Financial Times every year and has that strong reputation within Ireland and internationally as well when it's being recognized there. So that was definitely one of the criteria I was looking at. Then when I was speaking with former students and doing a bit more research on it, I got a good sense that it covers a broad range of topics. You know, you get a nice diverse mix of subjects when you're here, and also you get that international and global aspect as well. So we have the international tours, we have GNAM experiences, we have the international consulting tour as well. So all of those factors played into my sort of choosing of the course.
Cora, do you want to add anything else in there?
Yeah, I think mainly it would depend on what your goals are. Like for me, there were, I would say, three major aspects. One, I did want that course to have a international point of view. So like Paul mentioned, having the international study trip, consulting trips, option of taking, exchange course program with all of these amazing other international schools through GNAM. That was an important part of it. Second thing, I think for me, industry relationships were very important. I think Smurfit has very good contacts with the Irish market in general, and the career support is very good. I think then it starts from day one. I think that's been a very powerful part of the MBA, the career support. And of course, you need to look at the course structure, like are the subjects aligned with what you want to do later? Do you want to work in a specific field? You want to be an entrepreneur? You want to work in Ireland somewhere else? So, you really have to think about all those things and then see the synergy in the course and the place with, what your ambition is, what your goal is.
Thank you so much. Here's another question actually for you. What's your experience with the career services at UCD? And jump in there.
Yeah, I just briefly mentioned that. I would say, honestly, it's very impressive. And it starts very early. It's not like you don't wait till your last semester that, okay, I need to find a job now. It's a continuous process. It starts with you exploring what you want to do. So it's perfectly fine if somebody doesn't enter this course with an absolute clear-cut plan that this is exactly what I want to do after an MBA. Sometimes you don't have that clarity. And there are a lot of things in place for you to arrive at that. And then in the beginning, you start with, just your CV development and then move on into that exploratory mode of what you want to do. There are multiple checks on where you are in that journey at this point. And, there's alumni support. There are a lot of things. I mean, I highly recommend the career services.
I'll just add to that, we have coaching sessions as well to help you get a better sense of where you want to go. There's a mentorship program as well, where you're sort of assigned to someone who's working either in the industry of where you want to go or from a similar background to yourself. So it's quite targeted in that way. And like Apurva said, it's continuous, it's regular. There's regular check-ins, both individually and as a group as well. So it's a very supportive careers team.
I've found the careers, it's been helpful in that it is consistent. It doesn't come in just a burst at the end, but there are careers oriented segments, workshops, lessons, and seminars throughout the program. And that's actually very helpful to sort of force you to put your head up above water sometimes and go, right, the reason that I am doing this research, the reason that I am working on this paper, the reason I'm putting together this presentation, the reason I am here is that I want to facilitate a better career for myself. And as silly as that sounds, I can sometimes lose sight of that. And so the career services has been very helpful to say, okay, take a moment from your schoolwork and think about what it is you want to be doing a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And that luxury of introspection is a real benefit to the program. I also deeply appreciate that they're not trying to force me in a particular direction. This is not a sort of an assembly line that is just prepping MBAs to just do management consulting. That is absolutely an option if you want management consulting, but they're not trying to force any student into a path that student isn't ready for. I've got some clear senses of what I wish to do, and they've been very receptive to that and saying, okay, this is where you want to go, and these are the options that we have that can help you. These are the ways we can help you develop. And I really appreciate that it is guidance and structure without stricture.
Thank you, Artie. Just a question there. It's just a pilot that wants to know, can he come back to India for a medical issue? Catherine, you may be able to jump in there and explain the time constraints of the MBA students.
Yeah, I saw that one. I thought you were probably going to need my way in there. We do have an extenuating circumstances process that supports students in needs like needing to go home for medical care, that makes exceptions for that. And we also have a disability office that helps support, make sure that you have the support that you need in order to do your best on the program. I would say it is very demanding, and there's nothing that we can provide is a substitute for actually being there. But there is a process, should something come up that we need to make allowances for or take into account while you are doing your MBA. We understand that life happens, basically.
Thank you. And Catherine, do you want to let them know when the semester for September 2023 starts?
Yeah, we will start with Foundation Week, which if I am remembering what day the Tuesday is, I believe we start on 29th of August in 2023. And so we'll start for the full-time MBA, we'll start with a 4-day foundation session, which is a variety of academic and team building and sort of co-curricular workshops. And then class starts at 8:30 on Monday morning. I think it's the 4th, if I'm remembering my calendar correctly, but it starts at 8:30 Monday morning with financial reporting after you're done with Foundation Week.
Thank you, Catherine. And then there's just another question about fee structure. So on application, you pay €50. And then when you accept, if you're successful and you wish to accept your offer, you pay $1,000 deposit. And then you have 3 different payments as a structure throughout the year for 1-year program to pay your fees. I think that's it, really. I think we might wrap it up. I just want to tell everyone, say thank you so much for coming on and spending the last hour with us. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, Yola. Thank you, Catherine, and also Doc City. If you want to jump in there, Larry.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all for your insightful presentation and sharings. And for our participants, after the event, everyone will receive an email with a link to the recording of the event, so you can rewatch if in case you missed some parts. And also, I would like to ask our UCD former students and panelists one very, very last question. So do you have any advice for potential students, like to take their best out of their experience in Dublin? What would you recommend them to do or not to do to really take the best out of this very big opportunity?
Sorry, who's that question for?
Anyone who feels like advising something from student side or from UCD side.
And anyone want to jump in there?
Yeah, so from my point of view, my advice would be just to commit fully to it. You know, it's an immersive year, and that's how I'd recommend that you do it. You immerse yourself fully in it. So if you can afford to go without having to work part-time, I think you'll get the most out of it if you focus fully on the year. That's just my personal take.
It's also a good time, whenever you do anything big in life, it's a good idea to line up the people in your corner. Let your friends, let your family know that you're going to be doing a challenging thing, and actively request some support. The support that I've gotten from friends, just notes of encouragement, phone calls, that's been really helpful. Also just some understanding, telling them ahead of time that I might not necessarily be, as fully engaged on the holidays, or my birthday card might get there a little late this year. That little bit of understanding, the world will be kind to you if you ask kindness of the world, but do that ahead of time. Let people know that you're going to do something intense. Ask them for support, and if you've been living the right way, the people in your life will understand that and will support you and will help you. And I've found that enormously helpful. I don't know how I could have done this without my family and friends pulling for me, but you need to let them know.
Thank you, Artie. Yes, it is going to be the most challenging but also equally rewarding year of your life. Would you be in agreement there? Yeah. Well,
I would actually, building on both of those, I would say just to keep in mind that what you are going for is not a piece of paper that said, I did an MBA, but the experience and the knowledge from the MBA itself. The piece of paper, like, yeah, you need that to show to employers, but it's not going to do you any good at all if you haven't also really taken advantage of getting to take classes with all of the experts on the program and getting to participate in the workshops that we line up. It's about the experience of the year itself, and the certificate at the end just shows it's a tactile proof of that, but it's not the thing itself. So
very much.
Embrace the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time and for being with us today. And I look forward to getting in touch with you again during our future events. Thanks a lot for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.